Hey everyone, it's Eric Wentz here. So today we're going to make a UiPath robot. So I have UiPath here, and I have two CSV files that contain just some random numbers here. So we have about 980 in this file, and that's our master index. And we have some items indexed here, and about 191 here. So what we're going to do is index this file against the master file, and we're going to identify which records are in the index file that are in the master, and then which ones are not as well. And so we'll have two outputs at the end. And this is a sample reconciliation. These are random digits here. You see these are actually all the same in the beginning, and then the middle is all different. But that should not matter for these purposes. So this can be employee names or transaction numbers or identification numbers, etc., to identify what's missing between two sources. So let's close these files here and let's get started. Okay, so we're just going to do a blank project, and I'm going to set this up in this folder on my desktop here. And I've actually already done this before, but I'm just going to create a new folder. So we'll call this Excel, just to make it different than the previous one. Okay, so you know what, it just wants a folder, so just set that. And then this one. Okay, so let's get started by dropping in a sequence. And this is just going to be our main sequence. And then let's do a setup sequence here. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is read our two CSV files. So let's get our read CSV. Okay, and so let's read items to index. I actually need to go to my other folder here. So I have an inputs folder and an outputs folder. I usually use the structure here. So let's get this folder. Okay, and we'll add another one to read our master index. So this is like your master golden source file. Okay, very easy to do that. So now we need to put our output tables here. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to call this items to index dt. I like to label my things with dt at the end, just so when I'm looking at all my variables, I can quickly see which ones are data tables and which ones aren't. Okay. Alright, so now let's drop in a sequence to perform the reconciliation. We're going to do it for each row here, specifically for the data table. So for each row in, okay, so we need to change the scope for these two because we are just in this setup sequence. So let's make them available for the entire sequence. Okay. So for each row in items to index data table, let's do an if statement. Okay. So this is a little bit of a confusing formula here, but I actually wrote it out beforehand. So it's your data table as enumerable, any function of x, where x is the function, column 1 just written equals to the desired value, So I actually already have one here. You know what? Let me just take this old one and we'll redo it for this scenario. So what this does is, so this is going to be master, pull up our index name, our variable names here. So this is going to be master index t. I'm also going to just do it in this expression editor because it's a little bit bigger. Any function of x. Okay, so we don't need to change any of this, but we need to change the column name. So let me go back here and look at what the column names are. So records is one column name, and let me make sure that the master index has the same column. Okay, great. Both records. So we'll change this to records. The string where desired value is the row. Okay. So let's see if we get an error or not. Okay, we get an error. Usually when you get an error, it's because it wants something to specifically be a string, but you know what, sometimes this will do it as well. Let's see how I get another one. Item 0 to string. So let's add to string at the end of this. And that does it. Okay, so as enumerable basically looks through the entire list in the master index and returns a true or false if any of them match row 0. So when we're going through each row in the items to index data table, row 0 would be the first column. So when we look at our Excels, our CSV spreadsheets, there's only one column, so that's row 0. If that ID exists in here, it will return true. If it does not exist, then it will return else. So now let's add a data row for each of these, whether this returns true or false. So if it returns true, we want to add this. We want to add row 0. Okay. We want to add this to a new data table, which we will call record exists. Okay. So we just created this data table. The shortcut for that is Control-K. And if it does not exist, let's add it to row 0. Let's add it to a new data table called I guess we'll just call it this message interval name. Well, that is what it is. Okay. So let's rename this so that anyone can understand it. Okay. If record exists. Perfect. Okay. So now we have done that. Okay. And so as we loop through all of these, we will add to our data tables the records that exist and do not. I see when we just added these, I'm going to need to change the scope because they're going to be limited to the body. Let's make them available for the entire sequence. Okay. We can minimize this entire thing here. And let's add a new sequence here at the bottom for writing outputs. Okay, because we want to be able to see these at the end. So we want to write some CSV files here. So write CSV, And so first we want to write our exists CSV. Record exists. Okay. And let's choose a file path for this. I like to put it in the outputs. So you can see I've run this before a few days ago. So we'll say, call this record exists. Okay. And we'll write another one here. We'll do the same thing. Change this folder to outputs. Great. Okay. So I'm going to run this, and we're probably going to get an error here. Okay, so let's run it. And so we have an error where it wants to add to the data table. The data table does not exist. So we need to go to Setup and initialize our two data tables we want to use later. So let's generate data table. No, that's right. Let's build a data table. So we're going to build record exists first. Notice I didn't add DT behind it. Okay, already said I like to do. So first thing is delete everything in the data table. I recommend you start completely from scratch, and we're going to name these records because that's the name that we're going to use later. Okay. We're just going to copy this and call this does not exist. Okay. Alright. So let me go to my folders here. And in this output folder, I'm just gonna move these two archive over here. So we see there's no output already in there. Save this file and let's run it. Okay. So let's take a look at how it did. Okay, so we have two files. And you can see we have about 170 things here. And the true test is does not exist, should be about 20. Let's take a look. And it is, it's 21. So that's perfect. That's exactly how many I removed from the previous sample. So that is all we have for this. You can see you can use this for any type of VLOOKUP or reconciliation to identify things that exist or don't and have those outputs. Some other things that you can do in this flow is when you're writing these exists and does not exist, you have before you even write these in the reconciliation, when you're adding to the data table rows, whether the record exists or not, if there was some other information in here, like for instance, if this was ID number, and this is employee name, and this is amount, and so this is Jen, and it's $10. You can also return these other values as well. So you're not limited to returning only one column. When you write this, what you would do is just add the other rows to the data table. So you would do something like this, etc. And then you would just need to initialize that data table in the setup, and you would want to add your additional columns that you want to come up. So if it's employee name or something like that. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. I will put this on my site. If you have any questions, you can always ask. Thanks.